Hey, Mike here. I just wanted to let you know that you can listen to Dark Poutine early and ad-free on Amazon Music, included with Prime.
You're about to listen to a historical episode of Dark Poutine. After episode 149, you will find Scott is no longer with the show. In an effort to maintain continuity and offer listeners as many episodes as possible, we are leaving the episodes in which he co-hosted intact. Thank you.
Welcome to Dark Poutine. I'm Mike Brown, creator and host. With me as usual is my good friend and co-host, Scott Hemingway.
Hello, Yumberyaks.
Hello.
Yumberjacks.
The views, information, and opinions expressed during the Dark Poutine podcast are solely those of the producer and do not necessarily represent those of Curious Cast, its affiliate Global News, nor their parent company Chorus Entertainment. Dark Poutine is not for the faint of heart or squeamish. Listener discretion is strongly advised. We're not experts on the topics we present, nor are we journalists. We're two ordinary Canadians chatting about crime and the dark side of history. Let's get to it. Put on your toque, grab yourself a double-double and a Nanaimo bar. It's time to scarf down some Dark Poutine.
Chomp, chomp, chomp.
Look at that. It's episode 62 and our first away game in quite a while.
And what a doozy. This is this is one that I'm always fascinated by.
Yeah, I know you've been looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Actually, I wrote it in the script that Scott has been looking forward to this topic.
Yeah, it's just it's crazy. I don't want to say things to spoil what's to come.
Yeah.
But it's like a movie. It literally was like a movie playing out live on TV.
We're going back 22 years to Los Angeles, California on the morning of February 28th, 1997. And this was one of the toughest days that LAPD officers have had to face in their storied history. And there have been many tough days for them.
Yep, and it all played out live on TV for everybody to see.
Yeah, this is the story of the North Hollywood Shootout. On February 28th, 1997, two men drove to North Hollywood, California in a Chevrolet Celebrity. They had recently spray painted the car from blue to white. After months of planning, it was finally go time. Their target was branch 384 of the Bank of America at 6600 Laurel Canyon Blvd. They parked in the north parking lot beside the bank. The two popped a couple of the larger man's epilepsy pills, phenobarbital, a powerful muscle relaxant and anticonvulsant. They wanted to keep their cool while going about their intensely violent business. They exited the car, each with a Chinese AK-47 knockoff, Norinco-type 56 Sporter semi-automatic rifle. Each had been converted to fire automatically, making it a submachine gun. Each man's weapon had a drum magazine of 75 to 100 armor-piercing 7.62mm shells. Both men also wore ammunition belts that had hundreds of other rounds in other drum magazines. The smaller man also had a 9mm Beretta, model 92FS semi-automatic pistol, and extra clips. The two looked menacing, dressed in heavily armored black tactical gear, wearing ski masks and black sunglasses to hide their identities. The men each had a watch sewn into the rear of their tactical gloves. Before exiting the car, they had synchronized their watches, setting an 8-minute alarm. Their reconnaissance had told them 8 minutes would be ample time to get in and out before the cops showed up. at the ATM outside the bank, depositing $85 with 32-year-old Armin Iskandarian. Armin was forced inside the bank at gunpoint by the smaller man with the pistol and thrown to the floor on his face violently. It was now 9:17. Once inside the bank, the large man yelled, "Everybody down! Motherfucker, get down before I kill your ass!" interspersed with intimidating automatic gunfire into the walls and ceiling. The smaller of the men yelled, "This is a fucking holdup! Everyone down, motherfuckers!" Everyone dropped, terrified of being shot. Mildred Nolte, 79, was a bit slower getting down, and the larger of the two bandits backhanded her across the face. This sent her glasses flying and knocked off her headscarf. She fell to the ground. What the two robbers didn't know is that they were spotted by an LAPD black and white as they exited the car and entered the bank. Officers Farrell and Perello were parked, set up on the south side of the bank's entrance, watching and calling for assistance. They knew that they were no match for the two heavily armed men, who were now firing randomly. The next 44 minutes would prove to be a true test of what LAPD officers were made of.
Whew, see what I'm talking about? Just like in a movie. It reminds me of the beginning of The Dark Knight. But yeah, just insane to think that this is real life. Like coming in and shooting and stuff, that's not very inconspicuous.
No. Here's some audio of Officers Farrell and Perello calling for assistance upon seeing the armed men enter the bank.
50-40, requesting assistance. We have a possible 211 in progress at the Bank of America. Bank of America, Laurel Canyon north of Kittredge. We have shots fired. 39 shows responding code 3.
All units, officer needs help. At the Bank of America, Laurel Canyon north of Kittredge. Officer needs help. Bank of America, Laurel Canyon north of Kittredge.
39, we're responding code 3.
5839 is responding code 3.
Officer needs help. B of A.
All units, officer needs help. Laurel Canyon north of Kittredge. Officer needs help. Laurel Canyon north of Kittredge. At the Bank of America, the shots fired.
The unit respond from the northbound to southbound. We are on the south side.
9005 en route. All units respond northbound. They're on the south side.
Whew.
So pretty intense.
Yeah, you can hear the how quickly it escalates in the officer's tone.
Especially the one in the back yelling, "Shots fired, shots fired."
Yeah, that, whew.
Yeah.
Intense.
As officers arrived, they began to block off traffic on Laurel Canyon Road, knowing that they had two men inside the bank who'd already discharged their fully automatic weapons multiple times. Police didn't want to take any chances.
Which I struggle with the rationale of the robbers because they don't know the officers are outside yet. So, like, why start shooting like that? You would just think that's going to gain attention. Like, it's not very...
Well, it's effective, though.
It's effective in controlling the people, not necessarily effective in a successful getaway.
Right. Back inside the bank, things were not going as quickly as the bad guys had hoped. There were new security procedures in place. Multiple lockboxes held smaller amounts of money with the hope of slowing robberies, and that tactic was working well, frustrating the two men.
A smart tactic, yeah.
The larger of the two robbers had the assistant manager in the vault slowly opening the boxes and putting the contents into a black duffel bag. The assistant manager had been butt-ended in the head with a wooden stock of the AK-47 that the large man was carrying.
Yeah, I would imagine that stings.
The smaller man was controlling things in the lobby, yelling, "Stay down, don't look at us," and pointing his weapon at anyone who moved.
That'd be terrifying.
As well, the bank had randomly moved the times of its cash deliveries also to thwart bank robbers. There was not nearly as much in the branch as the bad guys had planned on. They were hoping for around $700,000. However, there was $303,305 in the duffel bag that was carried by the larger man.
Still a good chunk of change. Could buy a few mics with that.
Some of it might not be useful, though. In his haste to get the cash, the bandit did not see the assistant manager slip in 3 blue die packs of fake bills with the real cash. The die packs would explode in the bag 6 feet from the door of the bank, making some of it useless, just stained paper.
Yep. Yeah.
More cops were on scene by this time. Farrell and Perello, the initial responders, are to the south. Officers Haynes and Whitfield are to the north. Brentlinger is northeast, and Zaborvan, Guy, Angelus, and Krulak are set up almost directly across the street from the main door of the bank behind a flimsy key-cutting kiosk.
Oh, yeah, not very safe.
A stream of LAPD officers were responding to the officer needs help call, Code 3, licensed sirens from all over the city. From the outset, everyone knew this was no ordinary bank robbery.
Well, yeah, the whole going in shooting. That's usually not the way these go down.
As the larger man was now rounding everyone up to go into the vault, the smaller man began looking to the door. It was soon time to escape. There was no traffic moving at all on the usually busy Laurel Canyon Road. This had to have set off some alarm bells with the two.
Mm-hmm. No kidding.
At 9:24, after 7 minutes in the bank, the smaller of the two men charged out of the inside door of the bank into the ATM lobby. Turning to his right, the man quickly spotted a police cruiser parked in the middle of the intersection just over 200 feet away. He raised his rifle and began spraying 7.62 millimeter bullets at the officers who barely had time to duck behind their cars.
Holy shit.
Bullets ripped the police cruiser to shreds, sending bits of glass, metal, and plastic everywhere.
How terrifying must that have been for the officer? Because it's just escalating so quickly. The guy just comes out and starts shooting.
Yep.
Like, holy Christ, barely any time to react.
Like no time to react at all. In this next piece of audio, the terror can be heard in some of the police officers' voices as they scramble for cover and call for SWAT assistance. LAPD helicopter air support was already there, but they couldn't get in close as the suspect pointed his weapon and fired at them more than once.
Wow.
They also had to dodge the now arriving news helicopters all in the air for the morning rush, but monitoring their scanners, they heard about the bank robbery.
Yeah.
2 LAPD officers and 3 civilians were injured in that initial barrage. Here's the audio.
Everybody stay down. Rapid automatic fire. They're panning the area with fire. This officer needs help. Shots fired. Fully automatic weapons.
Officer needs help. 15L40 is requesting help. 15L40, your location.
I'm at the bank.
All units, I now tonight advises large shots fired. 500 block of Laurel Canyon. 15L40 is requesting help. All units, officers requesting help. Laurel Canyon, north of Kittredge, at the Bank of America. Shots are being fired.
15L20, advise the other unit to get some altitude. Suspect has an automatic weapon.
Air unit, keep your altitude. Shots are being fired. Correction. Suspects are armed with automatic weapons.
1697, correction, 1671. We've got Laurel Canyon at Fano and blocked off.
971, roger. All units, officer requested help at the bank.
Stay down. The suspects are shooting AK-47.
All units at the Bank of America, stay down. Shots are being fired. Automatic fire.
Code 3.
SWAT is being notified. Code 3. All officers stay down. Shots are being fired from AK-47. There is an officer down. All units, officer needs help. Laurel Canyon and Kittredge, officer down. Officer needs help. Laurel Canyon and Kittredge, officer down.
15L10, requesting SWAT, code 3.
L10 SWAT is being notified. RA's en route for the officer down. All officers stay down.
15L10, see if you can get SWAT here on an air unit. L70, SWAT's en route. We need a location for a CP.
L10, they need a location for a CP.
As SWAT was on the way, they needed a safe location for a command post.
Sweet sassy Molassie, that's intense.
The sound of the machine gun fire and then someone being hit.
Yeah, and the sheer panic, fear in their voice. Like, wow.
At this time, I mean, cops were armed with only their 9mm pistols, so.
Yeah, and you're not expecting to arrive at a bank robbery and somebody comes out guns a-blazing.
With this level of violence.
Yeah.
Sergeant Larry Haynes, 41, had been struck in the shoulder by a bullet fragment. Officer Martin Whitfield was hit by flying glass and shrapnel. Tracy Fisher, a civilian who'd stumbled into the area just as the robbery started, took a bullet in the foot.
Ooh, poor her.
Barry Golding and his co-worker Mike Horn were in the area to buy breakfast on the way to work. They were with Fisher when she was hit. Golding was hit by bullet fragments in both hands and legs, and Mike Horn was shot 6 times very seriously in the side.
Holy, could you imagine telling, I got shot 6 times with an AK-47?
Yeah.
Wow.
Horn was bleeding profusely from his wounds.
Yeah.
From an article from Jim Skeen, staff writer at the Daily News, Golding said, "We kept talking with each other and reassuring each other. Both of us, Fisher and Golding, concentrated on Mike. We kept saying, 'Hang on, Mikey.'"
Oh, seriously. Being shot 6 times with an AK-47 and still alive. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
In the meantime, the smaller suspect had edged further outside into an alcove where he was continuing to spray the pinned-down cops and civilians. One officer, James Zaborovan, 26, just 6 weeks out of the police academy, managed to flank the shooter.
Oh, wow.
He racked his shotgun and aimed at the side of the shooter, who was across the street just over 200 feet away. And 200 feet is quite a distance for a shotgun.
Yeah.
He fired 1 round and then racked his gun and fired again immediately. At least 8 of the 18 double-aught buck pellets, all the size of a round from a .32 caliber pistol, found their mark and hit the shooter. But only 1 made it through the man's armor, burying itself in his buttock.
Holy shit. Wow. That's, shotguns are not long-range weapons.
No.
But he still 8 buckshot.
Yeah.
And 1 in the buttocks.
The man simply staggered briefly and then turned towards Zaborovan and began firing as Zaborovan dove back into cover behind the key shack. Officer Zaborovan noticed the 2 detectives with him were not wearing vests, so he covered them with his body.
Damn.
Zaborovan was shot moments later, twice in the back and in the hip and thigh.
Whew.
Zaborovan crawled to cover at the strip mall across from the bank and was tended to by a local dentist and his wife. They'd been taking cover nearby.
This gets thrown out a lot, but that dude's a hero, protecting his other officers.
Oh, for sure.
Wow.
And lucky that this dentist was nearby to at least,
Treat him,
dentists have a bit of medical school, right?
For sure. Yeah, they absolutely going to be able to do some triage.
The smaller bandit had been in and out of the bank since the fracas began, presumably to reload. In 4 minutes, the man had fired as many as 400 rounds. Police were firing back, but their 9mm pistol seemed to have little to no effect on the shooter, whose weapon spat out bullet after bullet.
Mm-hmm.
Police cruiser radiators were hissing and spewing coolant all over the street, as though bleeding themselves.
Interesting.
Glass and debris were everywhere. The rattling sound of automatic gunfire shattering the normally peaceful Los Angeles morning.
It's as close to a war zone as you're going to get in the middle of L.A.
Hey, can you imagine you're just waking up and your dog wants to go for a walk and you hear that?
Well, like those 2 fellas going for breakfast.
Yeah.
Before work. It's L.A. You're going for breakfast.
Yeah.
This is not something you're expecting to have happen.
No, definitely not. Now both men were in the ATM lobby with their duffel bag, filled with cash and extra ammunition. The 2 now exchanged firing positions, giving the police undercover a steady stream of hot 7.62mm rounds streaking across a 128-degree arc from the bank.
Shit.
Officer Stuart Guy, huddled behind a white Dodge Caravan, took a bullet in the right thigh, ripping off a large chunk of flesh as it went through.
Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, AKs are known for their the damage they
and
will
penetration. Yeah,
yeah, and I think you said these were armor piercing as well. So holy crap!
14 minutes since it had begun, the 2 men were now making their way to their vehicle near the north parking lot of the building. This was only 50 feet away, but it was really slow going.
I bet.
The smaller man had the duffel bag of cash over his shoulder, and the larger man laid down suppressing fire from the ATM alcove as he moved. Things got even more complicated as ground media began to descend on the area.
Oh, not a smart move, fellas.
No, it's like reporters, you know, they're hearing about this. They want to get in there and start reporting.
I get that this would be a very hot thing to cover, and I appreciated the live footage, but not the smartest thing.
No.
An active gunfight. Well, not the safest decision, that's for sure.
No, yeah, definitely not a safe thing to do. As the smaller gunmen approached firing, police took cover or ran to give more distance between themselves and the heavily armed shooter who was wearing body armor from head to toe. Police 9mm pistols looked like pea shooters at this point.
Yeah.
Almost 275 feet away, Officer Marin Whitfield from the Van Nuys precinct was felled by a bullet through his femur.
Yikes.
Unable to move any further, he holed up behind a tree. You can hear from this audio that confusion ruled the day, and none of the officers knew how many of their fellows were hit.
We need help out here. We got officers down. Yes. You better get an attack alert here.
Any unit know how many officers are down? We have one.
More than one. More than one.
There's more than one officer down. SWAT is being notified to airlift. Lieutenant 90, roger.
California. Get attack alert going. I've been hit.
1540 advised he has been hit. Attack alert is being declared.
It's an order also.
1540 and one other officer have been hit. We are declaring attack alert. RA is en route. SWAT is being notified to airlift.
California, we have civilians pinned down behind black and white at Archwood and Laurel Canyon. At Kitridge and Laurel Canyon. If we can get a supervisor to form a recovery unit and pick up this officer.
They're requesting a supervisor to form a recovery unit to pick up the officer. 15040 and one other officer is down.
15040, my wound is not serious. I'm in the upper arm.
15040 advised his wound is not serious. It's in the upper arm. They need the other officer picked up. What is the location of the officer?
Hughes Family Market. Hughes Family Market.
The officer is down at the Hughes Family Market requesting a supervisor to organize a unit to go in and get the officer. Hughes Family Market.
So SWAT was stuck in traffic on the highway.
Oh, Jesus.
All the traffic, because the roads were closed.
Yeah.
You know how people drive in L.A., they're not willing to get out of the way for anybody, including the police.
But I have like this vision in my head from Hollywood, like they'll just be rappelling down from helicopters everywhere.
It wasn't quite like that.
No.
Sergeant Haynes, who was hit in the first barrage, was hit in the shin with another bullet.
Jeez.
Multiple officers were hit at this point, and they were all informed by dispatch that SWAT was on the way with a bulletproof armored vehicle to move them all to safety in hospitals. With the larger man still in the bank alcove laying down cover fire, the smaller man made it to the car in the north parking lot.
Yeah.
The smaller man threw the duffel bag and his depleted ammo belt into the passenger door of the car. He then retrieved another belt with more drums of ammunition attached. He went to the walkway behind their car and three others and began firing as cover for the large man.
Just so intense. So intense. But like, in my mind at this point, like, what do you, like, you've got to know you're not getting away. You've got to. I mean, even if you get in your vehicle, tires will be shot out, but... Yeah.
The large man exited the ATM lobby 30 seconds after his partner and began making his way to the north lot as his buddy was behind the cars firing.
Yeah.
The large man was grazed by a bullet that struck him just below his right eyebrow.
Holy shit.
He fell to his knees and put his hand to the wound. The large robber shook it off and got up and began moving again.
My God.
As he made it to the car, he smeared blood across the car in a few places.
Holy. You, as officers, you must be just like wondering, what the hell? What do we have to do? I literally shot the guy in the head and he gets up and keeps going.
The larger man got into the car, and the smaller man stood there strafing back and forth, firing his weapon for the next full 12 minutes.
Holy shit.
The larger man was firing out of the car intermittently, and we presume he was in there planning to get out, but the car didn't seem to want to go.
I wonder if that has anything to do with bullets.
Right.
But it's crazy. You think about it. 12 full minutes of AK-47 fire in a residential area in L.A., and to this point, nobody
is dead.
Yeah. Like, what are the... Oh, wow.
More cops streamed into the area as the smaller man fired on them. Officer Conrado Torres got close, but was grazed in the neck by a round, and he backed off.
Whew. Wow.
The armored car arrived and began picking up the injured officers. The smaller man retrieved another weapon, a Heckler & Koch 91 modified to fully automatic, throwing the Chinese knockoff AK-47 he'd been using into the trunk.
I'm not sure what a Heckler & Koch 91 is. It a rifle or handgun?
It's another rifle.
Okay.
Another semi-automatic rifle converted to machine gun.
Yeah.
With the smaller man walking slowly beside the car, it began to move. The trunk was still open, and they were heading out of the rear of the parking lot. The smaller man was firing as the car moved, running on ahead a little bit. Cops went to a local gun store and demanded they open early. They needed more firepower. They retrieved more shotguns and some AR-15s.
Yeah, I remember so much of this footage. The guy walking and one fellow walking in front of the vehicle, and just like it's so intense.
Here's some more communication from the clearly frustrated officers about their being unable to subdue the robbers.
The suspect is walking along the east side of the bank. He's just daring people to come after him. He's got additional weapons. The trunk is open on his vehicle. To be out 10, if somebody has a shot, take it. Suspect's head.
One suspect is walking east of the bank. 1510 advised if someone has a shot, take it.
Then take it. This guy is not going down. He's got heavy body armor. Go for the head.
Woo!
Go for the head.
Woo, man.
Yeah.
This is not chatter you usually hear in scanners.
No. And you could hear when that cop said go for the head, that was something that he'd probably not said a lot of times in his career.
No, I would imagine not, if ever.
Just
a lot of officers never have to fire their weapons, let alone go for the head.
The smaller man ran ahead, providing covering fire, and took up a position at the rear tire of a tractor trailer parked nearby. More police communications indicated the suspects might be more lightly armored in the legs, so cops started firing at their lower bodies.
Good call.
More officers go down as the car moves down the road. The smaller man walked along the sidewalk, firing at anything that moved, even the air unit.
Yeah.
SWAT arrived on scene and began moving toward the shooters. Officers were advised not to try and take the suspects down. This was to be SWAT's job from that point.
So not even fire at them?
Not to confront them, not to be close to them. They can continue to fire at them, but...
Yeah, and I would imagine at this point, you're not thinking, let's see if we can take them in.
No.
No, it did, it's...
But some might be arriving on scene and not understanding what's happening quite yet.
No, good point.
As the car drove slowly, the smaller man walked down Archwood eastward to the right of the car. LAPD had their hands full trying not to get shot, but as I mentioned, media outlets had been able to get much too close.
Yeah.
Here's some audio of Telemundo reporting from within range of fire at the Hughes Market parking lot nearby.
En este momento la policía está intercambiando balas. En este momento la policía está intercambiando balas con los presuntos asaltantes. Bien que no sabemos el número de heridos hasta el momento, pero ya se sabe de varias personas caídas. En este momento la policía está En este momento la policía está intercambiando balazos con los presuntos asaltantes de este banco y no se sabe hasta el momento cuántas personas están heridas dentro del banco.
So a few things.
Well, one is they should be called Telestupid.
Well, you see, so
you hear the ping of a ricochet.
Yeah, well, those were my when you hear gunfire and a ding, like holy shit.
That was something
you were lucky.
Yeah.
But I can also, for the sake of true journalism, and I respect a lot of conflict photographers and journalists. I can get wanting to rush towards the story for journalistic sake, but I suspect that the vast majority it was just about we got to be the first to air, we got to get the story. Come on, as opposed to let's tell a story here.
Yeah. SWAT was engaging the man on foot with their high-powered weapons. According to the NorthHollywoodShootout.com archived site, the smaller bank robber took 2 critical wounds, both within inches of each other, one of which would have proved fatal. The first round struck the man in the right shoulder, although the autopsy report could not ascertain from which direction the round came. A study of the video shows he was hit from behind.
Oh, okay.
The wound clipped the edge of the shoulder strap of his vest and punched clean through his trapezius muscle.
Ooh, ow.
The second round that struck him, maybe an inch or two lower than the first, broke his right collarbone, then completely severed his subclavian artery before fracturing his shoulder blade and coming to rest within the tissues of his back muscles. This is the wound that would have proved fatal within 30 minutes.
I'm not a doctor, but that doesn't sound comfortable.
Slowed, the man continued firing back.
Holy shit.
His gun jammed. This is when he pulled out his pistol and engaged officers coming around a corner of a nearby intersection on foot just to the east.
My God.
They fired at each other in an Old West-looking pistol battle before the smaller robber retreated a few feet down the way he'd come. He stopped, raised his pistol under his chin, and pulled the trigger. At the exact same moment, a sniper's bullet severed his spine.
Holy shit.
The smaller man went down dead.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, it's just mind-blowing. I mean, you would think another option would be to just lie down and give up and get some medical help. But no.
Let's go out guns a-blazing.
Yeah. They must have had some kind of pact ahead of time. But
who knows?
Yeah.
After wounded officer Conrado Torres unloaded a full clip of his 9mm into the Chevrolet Celebrity that the larger man was driving, he was panicked and drove off up the street. The car, clearly wounded itself, was not moving quickly at all.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was saying. Like, you can't think it's a quick getaway.
Somehow, the street was not locked down, and civilian cars drove toward the white Celebrity.
What the fuck?
The Celebrity swerved to hit civilian vehicles, possibly in an effort to acquire a more reliable car.
Yeah.
More shots were fired on police and civilians. People were just scattering everywhere.
I would imagine.
The large man got out of the car and began firing on a brown Jeep. The driver of the truck, whose name was Bill Maher, but not the famous Bill Maher, fled, leaving his vehicle behind. Maher had been shot 3 times, hit in the arm, head, and across the bridge of his nose.
What the? His head?
Yeah.
And he's still, like,
It could have been bullet fragments in the head.
Yeah, I know, but still, anything that had to do with a bullet from a firearm in the noggin.
Yeah.
And you're still able to, like, consciously get out of the vehicle. Wow.
The large man got back in his car and pulled the Celebrity up beside the abandoned truck. It looked as though he was trying to commandeer it as he began transferring things from the Celebrity to the truck.
Yeah, I remember footage.
The large man got into the truck, and at this point, a cop car sped up head-on to the Jeep containing heavily armed SWAT officers. The large man exited the truck and retreated to the rear of the truck, and the front of the Celebrity pointed the other way. This was his OK Corral.
Yeah, no kidding.
Here he would have his final shootout with police. He fired blindly through the vehicles and underneath. The cops were doing the same thing, but they could see him.
Yeah.
So they were firing at his legs and feet underneath the vehicles.
This is just all so intense.
Well, here's some more audio from those last few moments.
Be advised, the suspect is prone out. He may be shooting underneath the vehicle towards officers.
The suspect is prone out and possibly shooting at the officers from under the vehicle on Archwood between Radford and Hines.
Hey guys, let's close off the square block area. Don't let any traffic through. Now, 40 be advised, any units we have here are unusable. The black and whites are all blown up.
All the black and whites at the location are unusable. They have shots fired.
The large man stopped firing, and the cops moved in, firing as they came.
One suspect on Archwood is in custody. The suspect on Archwood is in custody.
Just over 43 minutes had passed as they took the large man into custody, and it was clear that he'd been shot many times.
Yes.
Waiting for a rescue ambulance, the large man was questioned. From a Los Angeles Daily News article by staff writer Jackson Van Derbiken, "What's your name?" an officer asked. According to an account provided by investigators, police sources said. The man asked to be rolled over. One cop said, "What's your name?" "Pete," replied the 283-pound, 6-foot man clad in bulletproof armor. "Okay, Pete," the officer said. "How many other guys are we looking for? How many more are there?" Bleeding from at least 29 wounds to his legs, buttocks, arms, fingers, the man looked up at the officer and sneered. "Fuck you. Shoot me in the head."
My Lord.
The man would repeat the same request over the next hour until he expired due to bleeding from a wound in his thigh. It was over. After the break, let's find out who these guys were.
Yes, please.
And we're back. From the Associated Press. When the shooting stopped, 2 robbers were dead, and at least 6 bystanders and 11 police officers were wounded by gunfire. 1 other officer and 1 civilian were injured in a related car wreck. Our 2 bad guys had fired more than 1,200 rounds, and cops had fired over 700.
Wow.
Both men were found to be wearing over 40 pounds of armored body armor, as well as bulletproof vests, groin guards, and metal trauma plates.
It's insane how prepared these guys were.
Yep.
You have to think they're not thinking this is going to go well if you're. But I don't know.
Yeah. The smaller of the two men and supposed leader was named Larry Eugene Phillips Jr. He was 26 years old on the day of the holdup.
It's younger than I thought.
Larry was born on September 20th, 1970, under an assumed name, as his father was wanted by police for escaping a Colorado state hospital the year before. Throughout his childhood, Larry Phillips Jr. saw his father arrested numerous times, even by the FBI.
Jeez.
He began to develop a strong hatred of authority, in particular police.
Mm-hmm.
Phillips dropped out of school in grade 9 and was married a year later.
What? How old would that be? Grade 9?
15, 16.
Jeez.
He became obsessed with working out at Gold's Gym and also becoming rich. One of his obsessions was Vietnamese immigrant and poker player Tommy Vu's get-rich real estate scams.
Oh man, if you couldn't be alive,
you remember those from the 80s and 90s?
Yeah, you couldn't be alive in the 80s and 90s and not know who Tom Vu was.
Tom Vu would surround himself with bikini-clad girls, expensive cars, boats, and huge estates.
Yep, yeah, and you would see many of his infomercials at usually 1 a.m. to 3 a.m.
Yep.
Please tell me we've got some audio of Mr. Vu himself.
Well, guess what? Here's some actual audio from the intro to a Tom Vu seminar, video seminar.
I'm going to have deja vu here.
He's an interesting cat.
Filthy rich. Is the next millionaire going to be you? I started with nothing, and I found a way to make a fortune in real estate. I've been showing thousands of people across America how to do this.
There you go. That's a little bit from old Tom Vu.
Yes, Tommy. I do want to be a millionaire.
I mean, how could you not like that guy? He's so enthusiastic. Not becoming the next Arnie or Lou Ferrigno fast enough, Phillips began to follow his father's career path, becoming a criminal.
Yep.
He was caught stealing $400 worth of suits from Sears in 1989.
I don't know if Sears is really where you want to be stealing suits, but whatever.
That year, he met Disable Stefan Emilian Mastorino at the gym.
Okay.
Emil,
Yeah.
who we'll call him.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Or Emil.
Okay, sure.
Emil.
I think
okay. Emil, we'll call him Emil.
Emil.
Would grow to become Phillips' partner in crime and would be the second man in the North Hollywood shootout.
Okay. All right.
After a real estate scam in 1992 that saw Larry staring at the possibility of a very long prison sentence, he went into hiding at Mazzarino's house.
Oh.
Planning a series of robberies.
I don't think that was covered in Tom Vu's infomercials, was it? Or his book?
Become a bank robber?
Yeah, I don't think, I never read it, so.
Emil Mazzarino was born in Romania on July 19th, 1966. He'd been 30 on the day of the shootout.
Okay. So 26 and 30, still both younger than I thought.
Emil was heavy, always larger than the other kids. He had lots of headaches, mostly due to his epilepsy. His family moved to the U.S., specifically Los Angeles, in 1974. Emil was bullied for being large and the fact that he had a heavy Eastern European accent.
Well, no matter who he became later in life, that's not cool.
He became interested in computers and would later attend DeVry Institute of Technology.
Oh.
His parents divorced and Emil became angrier and angrier. He hated that his dad nagged him about school. He was sometimes violent and is seen waving a chainsaw at his neighbor after their dog pooped on the lawn.
Okay, sure, that's one way to handle it.
Yeah, just say, hey, please, let's not have that happen again.
No, cut straight to chainsaw.
As mentioned, he met Larry Phillips in 1989, and the two became friends over their love of bodybuilding.
It's like how me and Mike met.
Bodybuilding.
Yeah, our love of bodybuilding. Yeah.
Being skinny fat.
Yeah.
Emil met his wife on a trip to Romania in 1993, and they were married and had a son.
Well, that's nice.
The two pulled their first heist in Littleton, Colorado on July 20th, 1993. There, they successfully robbed an armored car. No one was injured.
Well, that's okay. Good. That's good.
It's good that no one was injured.
Good that no one was injured.
It's not good that they're starting to rob armored cars.
No.
On October 23rd, 1993, the pair were pulled over in a rented car for speeding. Both had 9mm Glock 17 pistols on them.
Okay.
What the cops found in the car is what set off the alarm bells.
Oh, boy.
They found a Polytechnic semi-automatic rifle with a folding stock that belonged to Mazzarino, an Orinco MAK-90 semi-automatic rifle with a wooden stock that belonged to Phillips, a Springfield Armory .45 pistol belonging to Phillips, a Colt .45 belonging to Mazzarino, 1,649 rounds of 7.62 times 39mm ammunition, most of them loaded into 30-round magazines, 3 Chinese-made 75-round drum magazines loaded with 7.62 ammo, 967 rounds of 9mm JHP ammo, 357 rounds of 45 JHP ammo, 6 smoke bombs, 2 improvised explosive devices, a gas mask, 2 sets of National Armor Level 3A vests, 2 200-channel portable programmable scanners with earpieces, sunglasses, gloves, wigs, ski masks, and a stopwatch, 2 spray cans of gray studio hair color, 3 different California automobile license plates, and a sum of $1,620.
I'm thinking, like, just in regards to fuel efficiency, that's not really great to be driving around with all that weight.
Well, no wonder they were driving so fast. That's a lot of bad guy stuff to have in your car.
That's what I'm saying, exactly. Like, Jesus.
They were charged, surprisingly, with conspiracy to commit robbery, unlawful weapons activity, and carrying a loaded sidearm in a car.
Yeah, you don't say. Imagine that officer, eh? Like, just catching some speeders here.
Yeah, what's in your
What
truck?
the hell?
Holy crap. Phillips was sentenced to 99 days in jail, and Mazzarino got 71 days in jail as well as 36 days of probation.
So they got nothing.
On July 14th, 1995, the pair robbed a Brinks truck in L.A., injuring the driver and killing the 51-year-old security guard, Herman Cook. So now they were murderers as well.
I never knew about these previous robberies, so they had murdered in the process before. Wow.
Yep. On March 27, 1996, another Brinks truck took fire at an intersection, but the occupants escaped relatively no worse for wear.
I'm sure mentally pretty damaged, but yeah.
On May 2nd, 1996, Phillips and Mazzarino robbed their first bank. It was the Bank of America branch in Van Nuys. They entered with automatic weapons and left 8 minutes later with $755,048.
Okay, well, that's a haul. I can see why they now thought they're the
$750,000.
Yeah.
On May 31st, not even a month later, they hit another Bank of America and made off with $794,200.
Holy shit. Okay, so they made like
over $1 million bucks.
Yeah, over $1 million bucks in under or just around a month, and yet they still needed to continue. But I guess I can see why when they only got $300,000 off the last one, they were thinking like, this isn't much because they were used to more. But this is I didn't know they had these. They were this successful previously.
Yeah. Also in 1996, Emil's wife left him after he had a seizure. She took his son with her, and apparently he had nothing left to lose because next up was that fatal day for both of them in February of 1997.
Weird that she would leave him. I'm sure there was more than just a seizure.
Oh, I'm sure. A lot of things changed about the way LAPD and other departments dealt with policing and weaponry after the shootout.
Yeah.
Cop cars were more heavily armored. Officers were permitted to carry heavier caliber weapons, and in some cases were assigned AR-15 rifles.
Yeah.
18 of the responding officers from that day were awarded the Los Angeles Police Medal of Valor for their actions that day by President Bill Clinton.
Yeah, well, I mean, we hear a lot of negative things about officers, but this is really a testament to how great they really are out there.
With what they had on that day, they did a pretty darn good job.
It's incredible. It's incredible.
Interestingly, in the safe house, investigators did find a copy of the film Heat.
There we go.
This contains one of the most prolonged and graphic bank robbery shootout scenes ever filmed.
Yeah. Well, that's a lot of comparisons between the two have been made for sure.
Yeah. And when I think of Grand Theft Auto,
Yeah.
especially GTA 5,
Yeah.
the final heist is a big bank heist in Los Santos, which is Los Angeles.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's 4 dudes who have to go into this bank and get out, shoot their way out of the bank, and
Yeah.
and take off into the sunset.
But, again, like, it's a video game. You don't, like, you can't think, and I get that we're talking like 20 years between these two things, but still, like, you can't be thinking that I'm going to go in like this, bangity bang, shootily shoot, and everything's just going to go great.
But some people do.
Clearly, these guys thought that, I thought this was their first one, so I was thinking like, maybe they had a death wish, but because they had previously done a couple and
They were very
successful,
experienced bank robbers.
yeah, that they thought like they clearly weren't going into this like, yeah, let's just die today.
And especially the amount of reconnaissance, like they'd been reconnoitering that particular bank for like 3 months prior.
Really, eh?
Yeah. Yeah, watching as the guards came and went, and money deliveries came and went. Yeah. So, but I think their previous 2 robberies that were so large, the Bank of America started to change their policies.
That's the problem with the.
They probably
being a
caused their own
successful-
grief.
Yeah.
Emil Mazzarino's family sued the LAPD and LA Fire Department, citing the fact that Emil had lay dying for 45 minutes before being attended to by emergency personnel.
Would I like to think that there should have been emergency personnel there quicker? Sure, but no. I mean, you're going to be concerned about are there more people? Or like, no, fuck them.
His family said he was left there to die and that the police were deliberately indifferent to the deceased's serious medical needs. I mean, he'd been shot 29 times.
Mm-hmm.
And then Police Chief Bernard C. Parks said, I think it's a ludicrous allegation to believe that Los Angeles police officers allowed anyone to die.
Yeah, you know who did? Those idiots for going in there shooting it. Like, if anybody is to blame for their
For
death,
what happened that day.
it is them.
Yeah,
It is them. I'm sorry if your shootout resulted in delays in medical attention. That can tend to happen after a shootout.
Cooler heads prevailed and the suit was eventually dropped.
Good.
Police were concerned that these 2 were not the only gunmen on that day.
Exactly.
They didn't know what was going on for sure, so they had to make sure the area was secure before they let anybody into it.
Exactly.
And that's what they say led to the delay in medical attention for Mazzarino.
And I think that's completely legit.
Apparently, you can view the bodysuits the 2 were wearing in the LA Crime Museum and see the car that they were driving as it's on display as well.
Oh, man.
I think I want to check that out the next time.
Holy crackers, do I ever.
Yeah.
Not to sound morbid, but it's just a fascinating piece of history.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
So check out our show notes on darkpoutine.com for more information and links and photos about this case.
Whew.
What do you think of that one, Scott?
Whoo, Nelly.
Yeah.
That was intense. It's just as intense as I remember watching it. I've recently watched some things on it as well. It never ceases to blow me away. But it does remind me of the only thing close to it that I've seen is, I don't remember the name of the show. There's an Australian true crime show, and there was an Australian shootout, which had far more disastrous results, a few dead officers, but it was kind of, they were coming to this individual's house who was a bit shifty, and so he was in his home, and he was just like, I'm not going.
Yeah.
And a big shootout, a big shootout resulted in a residential neighborhood. So it was pretty
That's
intense,
crazy.
just like this. But yeah, shit. It's just so crazy. This whole thing, I remember watching it live as it was happening and just being like, is this real?
Yeah, it was pretty nuts.
Yeah, man.
Before we go, we want to give some shout outs to our new Patreon patrons.
Okay.
This week's good eggs are Lauren Catt from Vernon, BC. She's a new PM.
Oh, Lauren, thank you so much.
How about that? Another Prime Minister.
That's right, Lauren Catt.
Angela Elliott from West Point, Mississippi.
Oh, hey, Angela. And I believe Lauren Catt, not to jump over Angela, but I believe Lauren Catt was the one in one of our live streams who said she never wins anything when talking about double doubles.
Oh, yeah, I think it was her.
Yeah, so anyways. And yes, thank you, Angela Elliott.
West Point.
West Point, isn't that the military?
I think it is. I don't know if it's in Mississippi, but it would make
college
sense.
or university, yeah.
Julie Brown.
Yep.
Don't know where Julie's from.
Downtown.
Downtown Julie Brown.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's a wrestler, correct?
Yes.
Fair enough.
Yes. Professional wrestler with the
Glow?
glow. Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Keep up the great wrestling, Julie.
Jennifer Hawley from North Battleford, Saskatchewan.
Sounds like a really tough place.
North Battleford, Saskatchewan.
And thanks, Jennifer.
Marie Paris from Leaston, Maine.
That's maybe the most French name I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Marie Petty.
Ellen Arden.
Oh, hey, Ellen. Hey, how you doing, Ellen?
Where's she from?
She's from Saskatoon, actually.
What?
Yeah, I know. We got two Saskatchewan people here. Yeah, she's from Saskatoon.
Yeah, and she is
an animator.
There you go.
Yeah, she's an animator. She created the Saskatoon Tune. It was a cartoon about Saskatoon.
Google that, I guess.
Yeah, Google it. It was great.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Lindsay Stair.
Yeah. Yep. Lindsay Stair.
Yeah, like this staircase kind of thing.
No, more kind of I'm looking at you.
No, but it's spelled stair. Like
I know,
staircase.
that's the irony in it.
Where's she from, though?
She's from Stairville, Ontario.
But that's spelled like stare, like staring at you.
You know, this was just also crazy. It's hard to believe it's all real.
You're insane.
Clinically, yes.
Catherine Cole from Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Oh, one of my favorite names for a city, Chattanooga.
I like Chattanooga, the name Chattanooga, too.
Thank you, Catherine.
And then somebody just named Elizabeth. And I think it's that Queen Elizabeth is listening. And
oh, yes.
She has decided to support the show.
Because if you were going to do it, like, you would just be like, I'm Elizabeth. It's like Madonna, you know?
Yeah.
Like, if you get Madonna as a Patreon subscriber now, you'd be like, yeah, it's Madonna. So, Elizabeth, yes. Yes. We thank you all. I think, I would hope your contribution is about $50,000 a week.
God save the Queen.
Yeah.
Charmaine Shives.
Okay, yes. I think we went to school with her.
Who?
We did.
I didn't go to school with you.
I know, but that's what she traveled every day.
Oh, so she went to school in Nova Scotia and went to school in New West.
Yeah, at different times. She redid it. She did school twice.
Oh, she was traveling in her TARDIS.
Yes, that's a Doctor Who. Right? Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Look
No, that's exactly what she was doing. Mike, you got it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Helen Napoli.
Yeah. Hi, Helen. How are you doing? Haven't talked to you in a while.
Yeah, I guess she's from Italy.
She is from Napoli, Italy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was named after her.
No, it was named after Napoleon, was it not?
No.
I don't know.
No, not at all. Not at all. Napoli, Italy is named after her, and she's only 21, so they recently named it after her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Annie Whittle from Waterloo, Ontario. That's where my cousin Pete is from. He's the professor at Waterloo University.
Wow. Hey, thanks, Annie.
Susie Giroux from Abbotsford, British Columbia.
Hey, that's pretty close to us, Susie.
Amanda Nanur.
Okay.
From Helsingborg, Sweden.
Sounds great. Great. Hi, Amanda.
Also from Sweden and in Valda, Sweden.
Oh.
Hannah Grappenfelt.
Wow. Hey, Hannah, thank you. That's a lot of Sweden happening.
Yeah, 2 Swedish people in a row there.
Yeah.
And but there's no one from Ormskelvik where the Sedins are from. So we need to get some listeners there.
So I'm telling you, two of my favorite Canucks ever, just because of how wonderful human beings they are.
They are good eggs.
They're great eggs, and for all of you listening in Sweden, our hockey team has a history of having great Swedish hockey players.
Marcus Naslund.
Yeah, Oland.
Yeah, Matthias Oland.
Yeah. We have a long history of great Swedish hockey players.
Yeah, for sure. We now have Elias Peterson.
Sure, I haven't been paying attention. I'll take your word for it.
He's somebody that everybody is talking about around the league. So
I heard about him at the beginning of the season. Is he still?
Yeah, they're still talking about him.
Oh, good.
Thanks so much to our patrons, past and present, for your pledges. We really appreciate your support of the show. If you want to help support the show, you can do so at patreon.com/darkpoutine. Or for a one-time support, you can send us some donut money via PayPal at our email, darkpoutinepodcast@gmail.com. And we did get some donut money this week. Our good friend Navarra Good sent some cash.
Oh, yeah, it was super awesome to meet her back a little while ago, a few months ago.
Yeah, here for the podcast festival.
Yeah.
And another longtime listener, Jackie Leonard, sent us some donut money, and she's from Ireland.
Oh, thank you, Jackie.
Yeah. If you don't already, it would mean a lot to us if you subscribe to the show. I think there was something wrong with the feed earlier in the week because I didn't see the numbers doing what they usually do. So you might have to go back and refresh your feed to get the show. But if you're not hearing this, then you wouldn't know it. You can easily find us on iTunes Podcast, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, or wherever you get your on-demand audio. Check out our website, darkpoutine.com, for show notes and other cool stuff. Give us a like or a follow on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just search for Dark Poutine. Most importantly, tell your friends. Word of mouth is a powerful thing. And come to the Umber Yard. You know where it's at.
That's right.
Just search for Dark Poutine in groups on Facebook.
Yep, come join us.
It's full of good eggs.
It's full of good eggs if you're a little bit on the sensitive side in regards to dark humor. Maybe not the place you want to be, but
yeah.
we try to keep everything respectful. But sometimes, some people may fight. It's a podcast on murder. It's a group. It's
yeah, exactly.
Things can get a bit dark, but man, such a great place. Come join us.
There you go. After we recorded this show, I got an email from Adam Lemoyne, a friend of the show who lives in Glace Bay, Nova Scotia, and he wrote a song for Scott and I. Scott's not here, so he can't react to it, but I'm sure he will next week on our show. Here's Adam's song, and it's called The Poutine Love Ballad.
Dear Scott, though I wish you the best, I must request you go shit in your hat. Dear Mike, I'm not trying to be mean. You know I love dark poutine, but go shit in your hat. Screw your doubles and the 9 bears. You know your stupid toques won't get you very far, so go shit in your hat. Go shit in your hat. Go shit in your hat. Shit in your hat. Shit in your hat. Go shit in your hat. Go shit in your hat. Shit in your hat. Shit in your hat. Shit in your hat. Go screw yourselves.
Thank you, Adam, for that inspiring song. So, until next week, don't forget to be a good egg and not a bad apple.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Guten Tag.